Hi, it's me, Lori, and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I recently decided to do, a life change that I recently made that is basically going to change a lot. So, to kind of clarify things, I used to live at a dorm room for like the past 2 years, and well, I recently decided to move out. And by moving out, I mean moving out from my dorm room. Of course, not from my parental home. I do still kind of live at home, even though I moved out when I moved into a dorm room. But I come home every weekend, or I try to come home as much as I can in the weekends. But I decided to move out of my dorm room. Basically, to kind of sum things up, my dorm room has been a great place for me for the last 2 years. It was full of fun, full of love. I have had the most amazing roommates. I really love them. They kind of became like family. My dorm room became like home. We were in very luxurious studios, all of us, with like an own bathroom. We shared a kitchen, which made a lot of the evenings so much fun because you share a kitchen and you were just kind of, eating with all of you. Sometimes we even cooked with a bunch of us, and it was so much fun, as a student life should be when you're in college or in university. The only problem being I am in nursing school, and that involves a lot of internships. My dorm room, or like the apartment building our dorm rooms were situated in, is very noisy. There is no curfew, or at least there is an evening clock, but there are no consequences if you don't follow that evening clock, or if you don't follow any of the other rules. There are really no consequences. So to be very honest, why should you even follow the rules then? I completely understand my roommates for not doing that, even though that's not really nice to your other roommates. I do understand their decision to kind of, ignore the rules when there are no consequences. I would do the same if I had a carefree student life. But that's not the case when you're a nursing student because of the internships. And my internships involve a lot of early shifts, which mean that I start at 7, which is pretty early because sometimes I had to, travel for like an hour and 30 minutes to my internship with a bike. So that meant waking up really early and having to go to bed really early, which never really worked out well in a dorm room, because there was just always music or always people laughing, yelling, screaming, all of that, and sleeping wasn't really possible. And I did really bad on my last internship because I was always really tired and I was just exhausted from not sleeping. So recently my mom and dad and we all sat together and we kind of talked about my future, what I was going to do, because obviously it's going to be very busy for me. I'm juggling with a job, 2 studies, and a personal life. And it was going to be really busy because I work 4 times a week, and then I still have to go to nursing school, and I'm still homeschooling myself to get a interior design degree. So that altogether is not easy, and it is very hard to do all of that. And when you're lacking sleep, it gets even more difficult. I realized that in my dorm room, after an early shift, I just slept from 4 till 7. I ate and I went to bed, or at least I tried to go to bed, and most of the time that even didn't work. So when we were kind of discussing the whole future planning thing, we came on the topic of moving out of my dorm room. And that is obviously a very hard decision because I do really love my roommates and I love everything about my dorm room for the past 2 years. It has been my home, my roommates were my family. It just has been the perfect place for me to be for the last 2 years, and moving out is really, really difficult for me. I am kind of struggling with that still because I'm officially moved out now. I moved out on the 31st of August, so the very last day of August we moved out. and currently all my stuff is in a storage room, which is difficult because that is probably going to stay in that storage room for the next 4 to 5 months. We're currently September whilst I am filming this video, and I decided to look for an apartment in Antwerp. So I'm going to be renting an apartment, so I will be officially moving out of my parental home too, but I will probably still come back in the weekends. I will get back on that in a sec. But I'm gonna be renting an apartment in Antwerp, so in the city of Antwerp, which is a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to take that next step. I am currently apartment hunting. It's really hard to find a decent apartment for a good price in Antwerp because most of the time you pay for your location, and very often it's like €1,000 each month, which is way too much for me. I am still just a student, so my budget is not as high as it would be if you're having a job and working all the time, full time. So I've been to some apartments. I currently have an apartment in mind that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, but the guy living in the apartment isn't sure when he's going to move out yet, and it might be February, which is too late for me. So I need to find an apartment by January at last. Ideally would be December 2020, but we're kind of hoping to find something by January 2021, and that is our goal. So we're kind of on the lookout for apartments, and it's really exciting to like see all these apartments, thinking about how you're going to decorate them, and I'm just really excited about this next step in my life. It's also kind of scary thinking that, you know, you're gonna be living in an apartment building with all these adults and families, and I don't know, it kind of scares me, but I'm also really excited. Back onto the topic of living at home or coming home in the weekends, I will still be coming home a lot during the weekends, or at least I will try as much as possible. Of course, that's not going to be happening every single weekend, but in weekends I will try to come home, and also on holidays. Reason behind that is that my parents do need that still. I reckon I'm an only child, and there's a very empty nest syndrome around my house. So going back home in the weekends is good for my parents, but it's also good for me. Over the last few months, I've been living at home full time. Due to Corona, I wasn't able to, you know, go to my dorm room. There wasn't really much to do down around there, and being alone in a 25 square meter room isn't really it. So I moved home I've been home for 5 months now. And I've really realized that over the last few months that my parents and I have a really good relationship, and due to everything that I have seen due to Corona and in the hospital on the Corona units, I really needed my parents, and things have been going on in my life, and my parents are just a big factor in my life still. Even though I'm 20, they will still be a big factor in my life for the next few months and years. And that is the reason that I'm not saying goodbye to them yet, and I am still gonna be coming home in the weekends. So yeah, be ready for some really exciting vlogs, because I'm going to be vlogging my move-in day, decorating my apartment, showing you my new apartment, life in an apartment. Of course, I still need to find an apartment, but I already have a lot of decoration for my apartment, and I'm really excited to be moving in once I find something. So yeah, that is basically what has been going on in my life recently. A lot of big changes have been happening, which I love a lot. But yeah, that is basically it for this week's video. I explained everything. If you have any questions, you can always comment them down below, and you can subscribe to my channel to see me, you know, updating you on the apartment life and seeing my apartment vlogs and everything around that. And then I will see you next week with another video. Bye!